Never was nothing dramatic about the day it started. No ultimatum and no explosion. Just a quiet comment, something like, "I'm not sure your friends really have your best interests at heart." And poor does. That was it. 7 seconds. And from that point forward, the distance between a person and everyone who loved them began to grow. This is how it works. And not with force, with suggestion. The person who controls through isolation does not announce their intentions. They do not sit across from you and say, "I intend to remove every person who might offer you a perspective I cannot control." Instead, they plant small seeds of doubt. They wait, and they let your own mind do the rest. Here is what most people do not understand about isolation. It does not feel like a cage being locked. It feels like a choice. It feels like clarity. You start to believe that pulling away from friends and family was your decision, an act of maturity, maybe, or loyalty. And by the time you realize what happened, the walls are already built. You just happen to be on the inside. Impressed, what this is really about is a system, a quiet, deliberate, step-by-step system that controlling people have used for generations. In marriages, in families, in workplaces, in religious communities. And the methods are consistent enough that they can be named and tracked. And that is exactly what we are going to do in people. Because once you can see the pattern loses its power. The first move is almost always the same. It targets your perception of other people, not your relationship with them directly. A controlling person rarely tells you to stop seeing someone. That would be too obvious. Instead, they offer observations. Your best friend seems a little selfish. Your sister always stirs things up. Your coworker never seems genuinely happy for you. None of these comments are framed as commands. They are framed as concern. I just notice things about people. I want you to be treated well. The goal is to make you the one who decides to pull away while believing the idea was entirely your own. Psychologist Evan Stark, who spent decades studying coercive control, described this process in his 2007 work as a liberty crime. In the systematic removal of a person's freedom through micro-regulations so gradual that no single act looks like abuse. Each comment about a friend, taken alone, seems reasonable. Add them together over 18 months, and a person has been quietly removed from every meaningful relationship they had. Indeed, there is a name for this tactic in clinical literature: triangulation. The controller inserts themselves between you and other people. Ambiguous information, shaping narratives and positioning themselves as the only reliable interpreter of other people's motives. Over time, everyone in your life begins to seem slightly suspicious except them. The practical effect is this. In the moment you think about calling a friend, there is already a small voice in your head, planted by someone else, asking whether that friend is really trustworthy. You hesitate. You do not call. And the friendship atrophies, and the controller never had to say a single direct word against it. And the second move targets your sense of self, not just your relationships. Isolation is not only about geography or contact. It is about identity. And the most effective isolation leaves a person not just cut off from others, but cut off from themselves, from their own preferences, memories, and judgments. When that happens, the controller becomes the person's primary reference point for reality. This is where the language shifts. Early in the relationship, the controller may have been generous with praise. You're so smart. See things other people miss. But gradually, that narrative quietly inverts. You start receiving corrections. Small ones. That's not really how that happened. You always misremember things. Tend to overreact. This process has a clinical name too, gaslighting. But the word has been used so loosely in popular culture that it has lost some of its weight. And what it actually describes is the systematic dismantling of a person's confidence in their own perception. When someone no longer trusts their own memory, their own feelings, or their own read on a situation, and they naturally turn to someone else to interpret the world for them. The controller is conveniently available. A person without reliable access to their own interior life cannot easily reach out to others for support because they do not know what to say, and they do not know what they think. They do not know what is real. Enclose to one person who seems to have answers, the very person who took the answers away in the first place. And the third move is to make the isolation feel like love. This is the piece that confuses people most. And this is why it is so hard to leave, because the controlling person does not present isolation as punishment. And they present it as devotion. I just want you all to myself. It sounds romantic until it does not. Your family is toxic for you. I'm trying to protect you. It sounds caring until you realize you never asked to be protected. I just feel so much better when it's just the two of us. It sounds vulnerable until you notice that it is always just the two of you, and that feeling has become a condition. In the framing of possessiveness as love is particularly effective because it exploits a genuine human truth he made into goo. Real love does involve wanting closeness. Real love does sometimes involve protecting someone from harmful people. A controlling person borrows the language of love and uses it to justify something love would never actually require. And the test is simple and worth applying to any relationship. Genuine love expands your world. It makes you more connected, more confident, more yourself. What we are describing does the opposite. It contracts your world until the only thing left in it is the person doing the contracting. And the fourth move is to create a sense of debt or obligation that makes leaving feel impossible. By the time a person is substantially isolated, they are usually also substantially dependent, financially, emotionally, logistically. And the controller has often engineered this quietly. Maybe they encouraged you to quit the job you were good at. And maybe they made you feel incapable of managing money or organizing your time or navigating conflict without their help. And maybe they simply made themselves so central to your daily life that the idea of operating without them feels genuinely terrifying. And layered on top of all of that is something more complicated: gratitude. Because the controlling person has also, at various points, been kind, been generous, been the person you turn to. And Stockholm Syndrome is a clinical term for a reason. describes a real psychological process by which people form powerful attachments to those who hold power over them. When someone controls your environment entirely, they also control the moments of relief within it. That relief feels like love. It reinforces the bond. This is not weakness in the part of the person experiencing it. It is a predictable human response to a specific set of conditions. Understanding that matters. Understanding that matters. Because people often stay in these situations partly out of self-blame, convinced that a stronger person would simply leave. And calms has nothing to do with it. The architecture is designed to hold. What comes next is not a list of easy answers. There are none in call, but there is a starting point. And the starting point is not action. It is awareness. The most powerful thing a person can do when they suspect this pattern is to begin quietly auditing their own life. Not dramatically, just honestly. When did you last have a conversation that the controller did not know about? Did you last make a decision without checking whether they would approve? Did you last hear your own voice in your own head without their commentary underneath it? These are not rhetorical questions, and they are diagnostic ones, because isolation depends on invisibility. It works because the person inside it cannot see the shape of what is happening. In the moment they can see it, really see it, not just suspect it, the architecture begins to lose its hold. Rebuilding takes time. And connecting with people who were pushed away feels exposing and awkward and sometimes humiliating. Many people have to grieve the years spent inside a contracted world before they can begin to expand it again. None of that is small. Crying in none of it is fast. But there is something on the other side of it that is worth naming. Not happiness as a reward or peace as a destination, but simply this: the experience of having your life back, in making a phone call without calculating the consequences, in for walking into a room where multiple people know your name and none of them belong to the person who once tried to own it. And that is not a small thing. That is everything. If this video reached something in you, if you recognized a pattern here, whether in your own life or in someone you know, leave a comment and tell us, what was the first moment you noticed something was off? Not the big realization, in the small one. The first quiet thing that did not feel right. And those comments help more people than you know. And if this is the kind of conversation you want more of, subscribe. There is more to say.